Okay, so get this. Bowel cancer in young people. Yeah, we're talking 15 to 24-year-olds. Cases have jumped by like 266% over the last 3 decades. I mean, that's almost 3 times higher, right?
Wow, that's huge.
It is. And that's why we're diving into this article from News GP today. You know, the Royal Australian College of General Practitioners news website.
Okay, yeah.
It really digs into why this is happening, why it's so tough to diagnose, especially in younger people, and what we can all do to kind of stay ahead of it. So I know this might be a bit of a heavy topic, but knowing the facts, I mean, that's the first step, right?
Definitely. And it's not just a recent thing either. This upward trend, it's been going on since like the 1980s.
Really?
Yeah, and it really challenges that idea that bowel cancer is, an older person's disease.
Hey.
I mean, think about it. 1 in 10 new cases now, they're diagnosed in people under 50.
Wow, that's pretty scary. Especially, the article talks about these studies in BMJ Open and BMC primary care showing that like younger people often struggle to be taken seriously when they go to the doctor with symptoms.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, some even said they felt dismissed or faced crazy long delays in diagnosis just because of their age.
Oh, no.
We're talking like 3 months to 5 years in some cases.
5 years.
It's wild.
That's a really long time to be dealing with those symptoms. I mean,
Yeah.
imagine having abdominal pain or blood in your stool for months or even years, and just being told it's probably stress or IBS.
Right.
It's got to be so frustrating and potentially dangerous too, right? If it means missing that crucial early diagnosis.
Exactly, and it's got to be tough for GPs as well. I mean, they're seeing so many patients every day with all sorts of different issues. They have to make those judgment calls so quickly.
Absolutely. And, while this increase in young onset bowel cancer is definitely worrying, statistically it's still relatively rare.
I see.
So GPs, they have to balance that possibility of bowel cancer with the fact that these symptoms are often caused by more common, less serious things, Plus the gold standard for diagnosing it, a colonoscopy, well, that's not something you just jump into lightly.
Right. It's not exactly a walk in the park, is it?
Yeah.
And it comes with its own risks.
Definitely.
Which brings us to screening. In Australia, the National Bowel Cancer Screening Program, it currently cuts in at age 50. But some experts, they're saying we should lower that to 45, like the American College of Gastroenterology recommends.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So what do you think about that?
Well, lowering the screening age, that's a big decision.
Yeah.
On one hand, you could catch more cases early.
Right.
But on the other hand, you'd also be putting a much bigger strain on resources. And you'd probably see more false positives too.
That's true.
And that can be really tough for people. Imagine getting that false positive result and all that anxiety that comes with it. Unnecessary worry and potentially even more invasive procedures.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
It's about finding that balance, between catching cancer early and using healthcare resources responsibly.
So what does this mean for someone listening who's under 50? Should they be freaking out?
No, not at all.
Oh.
Panicking never helps.
Right.
Right. The key is to be aware of your own body. Notice any changes that seem out of the ordinary.
Okay, like what kind of changes specifically?
So Bowel Cancer Australia, they highlight a few red flags to watch out for, especially if they stick around for like 3 months to 2 years.
Okay.
Things like abdominal pain, rectal bleeding, persistent diarrhea, and iron deficiency anemia. If you're experiencing any of these, definitely talk to your doctor.
Okay, so those are the red flags, but those symptoms, I mean, they can be caused by other things too, right?
Oh,
things that are more common, especially for younger people.
Exactly, like IBS, hemorrhoids, anal fissures. Those are much more prevalent in younger adults, and they can have similar symptoms.
So it sounds like communication with your doctor is really key. Being able to advocate for yourself, ask questions, and make sure you're being heard, no matter how old you are.
Exactly. Early detection is it's so critical for successful treatment.
Right.
If something feels off, don't dismiss it just because you're young. Trust your instincts.
And don't be afraid to get a second opinion. If you feel like your concerns aren't being addressed, you're your own best advocate after all.
Right. Think of your GP as a partner in this whole journey, not not a gatekeeper.
Right.
They're there to help you navigate all of this.
Okay, so we've talked about this concerning rise in young-onset bowel cancer
Yeah.
and the challenges of getting a diagnosis, especially for younger people. So what about prevention? Are there things we can do to lower our risk?
Well, that's where things get really interesting because
Mhm.
it forces us to look beyond just individual behaviors.
Okay.
Sure, diet and exercise, they play a role, but we also need to think about things like access to healthy food,
Mhm.
exposure to environmental toxins,
Oh, wow.
and even the impact of stress on our gut health. It's a much bigger picture than just telling people to,
Eat.
eat their veggies.
Okay, so it's not just about personal choices. It's also about the systems and structures that shape our lives. Wow, that's a whole other can of worms. Let's unpack that in the next part of our deep dive.
So welcome back to our deep dive into young onset bowel cancer.
Yeah, we were just talking about how preventing this disease is more than just telling people to make healthy choices, right?
That's right. It is
Yeah.
it is important to make those choices, but we also have to acknowledge that access to those choices it isn't equal for everyone. And even beyond that, there are these factors at play that we're only just beginning to understand. Things like environmental toxins and
Yeah.
the impact of stress on our gut health.
Okay, yeah, let's break that down a bit. So we always hear that diet and exercise are important for overall health, but how do they specifically affect our risk of bowel cancer?
Well, studies have shown that diets that are high in processed meats, red meat, and saturated fats,
Right.
they seem to increase the risk of bowel cancer,
Okay.
while diets that are packed with fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, they appear to be protective.
So basically the age-old advice to eat your veggies still holds true.
It really does.
But as you said, it's not just about, telling people to eat healthy. It's about making sure that those healthy options are actually available and affordable for everyone, regardless of their income or where they live.
Absolutely. And the same goes for exercise, too. Studies have shown that regular physical activity, even moderate activity like brisk walking or gardening, can lower your risk of developing bowel cancer.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it seems to help regulate bowel movements, reduce inflammation in the gut, and just generally improve overall gut health.
So you're telling me that going for a walk could actually help protect me from bowel cancer.
It's definitely worth considering.
Okay, I'm suddenly feeling very motivated to get my steps in.
But let's not forget about other lifestyle factors too, like smoking and alcohol.
I
Both of those have been linked to a higher risk of bowel cancer.
Okay.
Smoking damages cells throughout the body, including the bowel. And alcohol can irritate the lining of the digestive tract
Yeah.
and mess with your body's ability to absorb nutrients.
So quitting smoking, cutting back on alcohol, along with a healthy diet and exercise, that could significantly lower a risk.
It could.
It seems like a lot of these lifestyle factors are interconnected.
They absolutely are. And that brings us to environmental factors, something we haven't really delved into yet. This is an area of ongoing research. But there's growing concern about the role of certain chemicals and pollutants in bowel cancer development.
Like what kinds of chemicals? Are we talking about things that we're exposed to every day?
Potentially, some studies have linked exposure to certain pesticides and industrial waste to an increased risk of bowel cancer.
Wow.
It really highlights the need for stricter environmental regulations
Right.
and policies that really prioritize public health.
It feels like we're surrounded by potential risks these days. It can be overwhelming trying to keep track of it all.
It's understandable to feel that way,
Yeah.
but remember, knowledge is power, right?
Right.
The more we understand about these risk factors,
Yeah.
the better equipped we are to make informed choices and to advocate for change.
So what can we do to take action? We've talked about lifestyle changes, but are there other steps we can take to protect ourselves and advocate for a healthier environment?
Of course, supporting organizations that are pushing for stricter environmental regulations, that's a good start.
Okay.
Choosing organic produce when possible,
Mm-hmm.
filtering your water, and even being mindful of the cleaning products you use at home. Those things can can help minimize exposure to certain chemicals.
Right.
And on a broader level, we need to push for policies that promote sustainable agriculture, reduce industrial pollution, and protect our water sources.
Okay, so we can make changes in our own lives and also advocate for larger systemic changes.
Exactly.
So that makes sense. Before we move on, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier, the impact of stress on gut health. You said that stress can actually increase the risk of bowel cancer.
There's a growing body of research pointing in that direction. You see, we all have this incredible ecosystem of bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms living in our gut. It's called the gut microbiome.
The gut microbiome, right?
Yeah, and it plays a vital role in digestion, immunity, and overall health. But chronic stress can disrupt the balance of this microbiome.
Oh, wow.
Leading to inflammation, which has been linked to an increased risk of various health problems, including bowel cancer.
So managing stress could actually be a way to protect our gut health.
It could.
I never realized that there was such a strong connection between our mental and emotional well-being and something as physical as bowel health.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
The mind-body connection it's powerful, and we're only just beginning to understand how deeply interconnected they really are.
Yeah.
Practices like mindfulness, meditation, yoga, even spending time in nature have been shown to have beneficial effects on both mental health and gut health.
This is all giving me a lot to think about. It seems like we have more control over our health than we might realize. But we also have to acknowledge that there are these larger systemic forces at play that influence our choices and our environment. It's a complex interplay of individual actions, environmental factors, and healthcare systems.
You've hit the nail on the head addressing this rising trend of young-onset bowel cancer. It requires a multi-pronged approach.
Right.
We need to empower individuals to make healthy choices, advocate for policies that create a healthier environment, and ensure access to quality health care for everyone.
This has been a really eye-opening conversation. And in the last part of our deep dive, we'll delve into the world of genetics and molecular biology to see what's happening at the cellular level in bowel cancer. Stay tuned.
All right, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into young-onset bowel cancer.
We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? We have the alarming stats, the challenges of getting diagnosed, and all those lifestyle and environmental factors that might be playing a role.
Right.
Now, we're going to zoom in even closer, down to the level of our genes and cells.
Okay, yeah, because while lifestyle and environment are hugely important, there's a whole other layer of complexity when we start talking about the genetic and molecular underpinnings of this disease.
Right, so genes, everyone's got them, but how exactly do they factor into bowel cancer, especially in younger people?
Well, we know that some inherited gene mutations can significantly increase a person's risk of developing bowel cancer, even at a young age. You can almost think of it like inheriting a slight glitch in your body's system.
Okay, so if someone inherits one of these glitches, they're more likely to develop bowel cancer. Are there specific examples of these inherited mutations?
Absolutely. One example is Lynch syndrome. It's also known as hereditary non-polyposis colorectal cancer, or HNPCC.
HNPCC, okay.
Yeah, it's caused by mutations in genes that are responsible for repairing DNA.
I see.
So if those repair mechanisms aren't working properly, they're more likely to accumulate errors, which can lead to cancer.
So it's like having a slightly faulty spell checker in your DNA.
That's a great analogy.
Errors slip through that might have been caught otherwise.
Exactly. And these mutations can be passed down through families, which is why knowing your family history is so important.
So if someone has a family history of bowel cancer, especially if diagnosed at a younger age, genetic testing might be a good idea.
Absolutely. It can provide really valuable information about your personal risk.
Yeah.
And allow for more personalized screening and prevention strategies.
That makes sense. But genes aren't the whole story, are they? What else is happening at the cellular level that might be contributing to bowel cancer?
Well, researchers they're increasingly focused on what are called epigenetic changes.
Epigenetic changes.
Yeah. These are modifications to DNA that can switch genes on or off without actually altering the DNA sequence itself.
Okay.
Think of it like a dimmer switch. That controls the brightness of a light, The light bulb itself, the gene, doesn't change, but how much it shines, the gene expression, that can be adjusted.
So it's not just about the genes we inherit, but how those genes are being expressed. And that expression can be influenced by things like our lifestyle and environment.
Exactly, and this is where it gets really interesting, because it suggests that we might have more control over our health than we previously thought.
Okay, that's empowering. So even if someone has a family history of bowel cancer, there might be things they can do to influence how their genes are expressed and potentially lower their risk.
That's what the research is pointing towards.
Mhm.
And this is a big part of why personalized medicine is becoming so important.
Personalized medicine, yeah. That's something we hear a lot about these days. Can you explain how it's changing our approach to bowel cancer?
Sure, personalized medicine it's all about tailoring healthcare to the individual.
Okay.
So instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, we're moving towards treatments and prevention strategies that are based on a person's unique genetic makeup, lifestyle, and environmental factors.
So it's like custom tailoring a suit.
Exactly.
You take into account all the individual measurements to create something that fits perfectly.
Exactly. And in the context of bowel cancer, this could mean personalized screening recommendations based on your genetic risk, targeted therapies that specifically attack cancer cells while leaving healthy cells unharmed, and even individualized lifestyle interventions to help reduce your risk.
Wow, that sounds incredibly promising. What are some of the latest breakthroughs in personalized medicine for bowel cancer?
One exciting area is the development of liquid biopsies.
Liquid biopsies, okay.
Yeah, these involve analyzing bits of tumor DNA that are circulating in the bloodstream.
Oh, wow.
It's a non-invasive way to monitor treatment response, detect recurrence early, and even guide treatment decisions.
So instead of relying on tissue biopsies, which can be more invasive, we can get valuable information from a simple blood test.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
It really is a game changer. And then there's immunotherapy,
Yeah.
which harnesses the power of the immune system to fight cancer.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about immunotherapy. How is it being used to treat bowel cancer?
Well, some types of bowel cancer respond really well to immunotherapy drugs.
Okay.
These drugs essentially help the immune system recognize and attack cancer cells more effectively,
I see.
which can shrink tumors and improve survival rates.
So instead of attacking the cancer directly with chemotherapy, we're empowering the body's own defenses to do the job.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And the great thing about immunotherapy is it often has fewer side effects than traditional chemotherapy.
That's great to hear. All of this is really encouraging. It feels like we're on the cusp of a new era in bowel cancer treatment.
Absolutely. The research is moving at an incredible pace, and we're gaining a deeper understanding of this disease every day.
So what does all this mean for the person listening right now? What are the key takeaways from our deep dive into this complex topic?
Well, first and foremost, awareness is key. Knowing the symptoms, understanding your personal risk factors, and being proactive about screening, those are crucial steps in early detection.
And as we've discussed throughout this deep dive, early detection is our best weapon against this disease.
It really is.
And secondly, remember that lifestyle choices really do matter. A healthy diet, regular exercise, and avoiding smoking and excessive alcohol can significantly reduce your risk.
They can.
And don't forget the mind-body connection. Managing stress and taking care of your mental and emotional well-being are just as important as taking care of your physical health.
Couldn't agree more.
And finally, stay informed. The field of bowel cancer research is constantly evolving with new breakthroughs and promising therapies emerging all the time. Don't hesitate to ask your healthcare provider about the latest advancements and how they might apply to you.
Good advice.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. It's been a fascinating and at times a bit overwhelming journey, but we hope you've come away with a deeper understanding of this complex issue and a sense of empowerment to take charge of your own health.
That's what we were hoping for.
And remember, you're not alone. There are resources available, support groups, and a growing community of people dedicated to raising awareness and fighting this disease.
Yeah.
The future of bowel cancer prevention, diagnosis, and treatment, it's looking brighter every day thanks to advances in research and personalized medicine.
Really is.
So stay curious, stay informed, and stay proactive. Together, we can make a real difference in the fight against bowel cancer.
We can.
Thank you for joining us on this depth dive. Until next time, stay healthy and stay well.